So to make our soap today, everybody, we need to organize all of the hard oils. So what I do is I usually just pop them inside here. Then the slow cooker that you can see at the back there, I'm going to pop it in that. It takes maybe 2 hours to melt it down. Then I turn the slow cooker off and I'll just leave it to cool down for several hours. So usually in the morning, that's literally my first job when I'm going to do soap. Inside my little book here, my folder is where I keep everything. So if you're doing a new recipe, don't be like I used to do and write it on a scrap of paper. Then you lose the paper and think, oh no, what have I done? It's definitely better just to get a $2 folder and keep it all in. So we have our bowl. So let's just organize everything on here. Now today I am going to give you the full recipe that I do use for my soap. So we've already made the lye. The lye is setting aside. So now this is for a slab mold. So if any of you are using a slab mold from Vinny, which is from Craft AU on Etsy, that's where he sells it. And that's a standard, quite large slab mold. It takes 6,625 grams. So that's what the weight of oil base will use. So when you go into soap calc, you need to put 6,625 grams in the weight because it will ask you the weight that you're trying to do. So for that, there's lots of things you need to do. I always change my water of percentage to 26. It definitely helps with lots of things. So that's why I actually use the 26. And what it actually does is it also helps with the frosting and the things on top, the soda ash. It definitely brings that down, and that's why I do that. Of course, lowering your water content can also do that. And I keep it at a 5%. Super fat. You can lower it or higher it, but this is what works generally for me. So now the water content we're using is 1722.50 grams. That is the water that we need to create the lye with. So I'm telling you the lye recipe first. So we've got the water, and then it's 916.91 grams, and that is your caustic soda that you're going to put in. Remember, you need to see with caustic soda that it's definitely going to be the one that works for soap making. You can't be using one that has all extra bits on it. The one I use I get from my hardware store, and it says on the back for soap making. So definitely check that, and it needs to be a pure caustic soda. You can't be using ones with only 80% caustic and extra things, because that's not for soap making and it's too dangerous to use. So check those out anyway. So now that we've got that done, let's get and organize our coconut oil. So my coconut oil is based on 22%, and it's 1457.50 is what we're going to be putting in here. And when I say these numbers, these are in grams. So I've got my little baby scale, and I'm just going to tear that out. And in here, my big bucket, we will move a little bit. This is where I have my coconut. So if you're wondering a little bit about it, I will turn this around, and it's from Hello Pure if you're in Australia. So that's basically where I'm getting it from. And we're just going to pop all of this in here, because remember, I'm going to put it in a slow cooker. You could put it directly into the cooker, but I just like to measure everything out so that it's super right. There's no good doing it wrong. And then I do have one of these trusty little, it's like a paint scraper, but obviously it's never been used for paint. It's only ever been used for digging out coconut oil or shea butter, or whichever ones I'm going to be adding. So like I said, we need to get to make this. And with coconut oil, look, I always say you want your recipe to be 15 cleansing or less. This one will be a 15 cleansing, and it's quite fine, but you don't want to have your cleansing being 20 or anything like that, because that can be a little bit crazy. But with my recipe, it will tell you the hardness is 34. Don't worry about the hardness. I've heard lots of people say that they want the hardness to say 40 or 50, but it really doesn't matter, because it's going to go hard when it cures. So I don't worry about any of that. And mine is a vegan soap. It doesn't have any animal byproducts in it. It has no palm oil. And it doesn't matter if you use palm oil, but for me, this is what my customers want. They don't want palm in it. When I first started, I used to use palm oil inside everything, and then people were saying they didn't want it. And honestly, I didn't understand it enough. And once I did my research, I thought, okay, fair enough. You know, I don't want to do anything to the planet that is bad. So I'm trying my best to do what I can and learn. So that's why I've gone to palm free. But some people love palm and it sells well. So if you're going to use palm, just make sure it's certified palm and, you know, and it's farmed the right way. But I do know it does have a lot of effects on the environment. So we really need to look out for that, don't we? So anyway, enough about that. Now, so like I said, it's 1457 grams we need. So we'll add this up. So far it says 1382. And you do want it to be pretty right. I mean, you know, don't kind of do this and go, oh, it's kind of all right, or, you know, it's 10 grams off. Well, if everything was 10 grams off, you'd be 50 off. So that's why you do want it to be right. And that's why I'm just putting little bits at the time, just to try and make sure that I've got the right number in here. We're almost there. So now I'll go and put that into my slow cooker over there, and then we will get on to the next, because I need to organise the shea and cocoa butter that goes into mine. So here is my shea butter underneath the bench. I have lots and lots of buckets of this. I buy this in 15 to 20 kilos from Deluxe Shea Butter, and it is just beautiful. If you can see it, this one here is unrefined shea butter. I just find it beautiful. I don't really notice much of a nutty smell. A lot of people ask me that, but honestly, once it's in soap, you're not going to smell it. So for this one here, we need, let me just double check it. So this shea butter is 364 is what we actually need to go in here. Of course, my little containers here, and I've torn out the scale, so we're just going to double check this one again. And here I'm using 5.5% of this shea butter. Now, when you're doing a recipe, you need to also think of what you're going to charge, because if I used 20% shea butter, I would need to charge a lot more, because this is very expensive, and coconut oil is much cheaper than this. So when I buy my cocoa and shea butter from Deluxe Shea, it's usually just under $1,000 for the amount that I buy. So as I said, it's very expensive, but it is worth every cent. You know, and for them to farm this is actually quite difficult to farm this, because it gets whipped and there's lots of different things. The women actually manually do this. So, you know, we also do need to understand why the cost is there. It takes a lot of intensive labouring to get this as beautiful as it is. And I use this in pretty much everything. I don't use any other shea butter except for Deluxe Shea, because I just really and truly love their product. So we're going to just pop this in here. I'm almost at what we want, which is 364, wasn't it? Yep. So we just need a bit more. And as I said, you know, we want to make sure that this is right. We want the right amount. Okay, so that's the right amount. So I'm going to pop this away and we will organise the cocoa butter. So now we are doing the cocoa butter. This is what it looks like. Isn't it absolutely beautiful? And I buy mine in, once again, 10 kilos or so when I buy it from Deluxe Shea. So what we're going to do now is measure this out, and let me look on my recipe. It's 331 of this gorgeous beautiful butter. Now, one thing that is really good when you get it from Deluxe Shea, it's already broken for you into these pieces, which is very handy. It comes in a big box, in a plastic box, but I just take it out, and then I store everything in containers with the lids on, just to try and keep as clean as I can keep anything, because it's very important to remember all of these things as well. So like I said, we need 331. Let me just take that little bit out, because we don't want to have too much in here. Like I said, the recipe needs to be right. All right, done. So I'm going to pop this in the slow cooker. We'll let this go down. And it's in, if you're in the US, I know you call it a crock pot. Lots of people have told me that. So now we're going to pop it in here. Like I said, just on low. Don't do it anything but low for a couple hours, and then it will cool down, and then we'll be ready to make this gorgeous soap. So as we know, everything is in the slow cooker, melting down. So let's just organize the oils, and then we can let them sit here. So I have a massive bucket here because do remember we are making 7 kilos almost of gorgeous soap. So I have all of my oils here. So we need some olive oil, some sodium lactate. We are also going to be using some rice bran oil, some castor oil. So they are going to be the liquid oils into this recipe. So I'll tell you, like I said, all we're going to use as we go along. So let's start with the sodium lactate. So this is just a salt derived. I popped it in this little container, and for this I'm going to use 50 grams. So that's in there. So we've done that, and that was just going to help it harden and get out of the mold nice and easy, and it definitely works, I can tell you that. So now we've got our castor oil here. So I'm going to add this in, and we need 99 grams of castor oil. Castor oil will help with the bubbles, but if you put too much castor oil, it will make your bar sticky and not very nice. So I definitely say keep it to under 5%. I think mine's about 2%. I'll have a look and tell you the exact percentage in just a moment. Let me just make sure that this is the right amount. Okay, so we've got the right amount in there, so I will pop this back. So now this is my sweet almond oil. You can see the massive tub that it comes in. It's only like got quarter full, so I can easily just hold it and pour it into here. So we need 364 grams. So let me just pour this in. Now we need the rice bran, so we're going to put 298 grams of rice bran in there. All right, so 298 of the rice bran. Hopefully I said the right amount before, but it is 298, and we're all in grams when I tell you this today because we're in Australia and we use grams here. All right, so I've done that, and rice bran will help with making it a little bit sort of creamy and giving that gorgeous kind of conditioning, foamy kind of feel to the soap. So it is really good, but definitely keep this at a low amount if you're putting it through soap kelp again. And I definitely say keep this 5% or under. The very last one I'm going to add in my recipe is my olive oil. So in here we need 3,710 grams. So it is a lot of olive oil. It's not a cheap recipe as well, I will tell you that. So my soap recipes are quite expensive to make because I am using quite expensive oils. Now, the rice bran is probably the cheaper one, but I don't use hardly any rice bran. It's almost all olive oil. And I just buy my olive oil from the shopping centre. I've actually looked at trying to buy it from other places, but honestly, it is no cheaper buying it from anywhere else. It's just the same price, probably less from my supermarket. But, you know, the one thing is when you get it, you don't want it to sit on the shelf for a while because all oils have a shelf life. And we want to give this as much life as we can so that it doesn't go rancid, because that's what actually happens. And when I'm talking about rancid, it means, you know, you might get like little DOS drops and things like that on it, which is an ugly orange spot on the soap. It doesn't mean you can't use it. You can, but it just doesn't look attractive. And your customers aren't going to be happy looking at something that's a little bit ugly. So definitely make sure you're using the right oil. Not all oils are meant to be used, you know, as well. So some have a shorter shelf life, like I said, some do different things. So make sure the oils you're using are doing the right thing, you know, like they're going to add the right benefits that you're trying to add to your soap, because that's what it's all about. It's not about just making any old soap. You kind of got to understand what you're trying to get, where your target market is, and so on. Where most of my products have a lot of organic ingredients, and that's where I've just tried to aim my products, because I really wanted to make a beautiful, just creamy bar of soap, even for myself. And that's kind of where I came and how I learnt to do all of this. So that's all good. We have done all of that. So now it's all beautiful, isn't it? And we are just going to wait till this cools down, and then I'll bring you back when we actually make the soap. So while we're waiting for everything to do its little bit, we do have a couple cups here, and we are going to be making the mica that needs to go into this. So this one is going to be what I call Birchmont Mint, and I'm almost out of it. I've sold a slab of it in the last 2 months, so I thought, look, let's get to make some more. So I've already taken some oil out of here for color number 1, and then I'm going to take another bit out of the oil that we've already got, because if you're adding more oil, it means you're adding more oil to your recipe, because we want to mix the micas into the oil. So we've pretty much done that. I'm going to add a little bit more just in this green, because, sorry, the black, I should say. And it doesn't matter how much you're using, you choose. But if you want a super bold black color, you need to add 1 tablespoon, 1 flat tablespoon of mica per every 500 grams of oil. So basically that's what we're going to do. But for today, I'm not going to do that, because this is a white soap, and then it's just got drops of the green and drops of the black. So this black is called Unlucky Black, and it's from Sud Off. So what I'm putting in here is probably like half a tablespoon. So this is from Sud Off in Australia. That's where I get all of my micas. So you can just go over and check them out if you like. And they just have some really, really beautiful micas. I really love them. They mix into the oil so well. They're not clumpy at all, so if you can kind of see that. And that way it's nice and easy. This is just a thin popsicle stick that I'm using. If you use a normal spoon, the oil gets stuck onto everything, and I just think the oil's not very good for the drain as well, because too much goes down the drain. And I'll move that to the camera so you can see. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this. Even though it's not very good on the popsicle stick, is it? Because it's not kind of coming, it's falling off. And that's the same, about half. And like I said, this is only a little bit. I don't need a lot of this crystal or the black. And this is called crystalline teal, if I didn't say that. This would have to be, honestly, probably my favorite color that Sud Off do. I just love it. I mean, isn't that beautiful? It's like a gorgeous kind of sea color. And in Australia, we just have the most beautiful beaches. So I really, really do love this kind of color. So we've got this, and then of course, white is going to be the main color. When I say white, I'm not going to add any color into it. And then we will get and make this as well. If you're looking for some good fragrances, a lot of my fragrances come from Pure Candle Supplies in Australia. And the one thing I really love about their range is they have, you know, an affordable range, they have a mid-range and a signature range. Most of mine are in the signature range, which is the more high-end kind of range. And all of their fragrances are made in Australia. So that's one thing that I really do love, that we know it's a good quality if it's made here in Australia. So you do pay more for the product, but it is so, so worth it. Anyway, that is it for now. So I will bring you back, and when we're going to make the soap, of course, because that is the fun bit you're all waiting for. So we are back, everybody. Here is, of course, the oils all in here. It is filled up. I won't pop it up so that you can see it too much. But basically, we've got all the oils in here. So now we're just going to be popping in the lye. So I've given you all the recipes throughout the video. It won't be in the description. It will be in the video. So hopefully you've written that down. If not, just go back and watch the video again, and you'll get all of the information. So now we're just going to be popping in our stick blender over there. Oh, and I do need to say, if you are a Patreon who follows me on Patreon, I will put the written recipe down there for you. So you will definitely get that one, but that's just on Patreon. On YouTube, just watch the video and you will still get the recipe as well. So like I said, I'm just going to be pouring in the lye inside here as well. So there you go, it's all gorgeous. So that's in there, and now let's just blend it up and get going with the soap. So also, when you've got your stick blender, make sure you undo it when you're not using it, so that way it doesn't fall over and make a mess and splash lye everywhere. So when you're stick blending, if you're making soap and you're new to it, you basically are going to mix it as you've seen that I just did then in bursts, and then you're just going to turn it off and literally use this as a spoon, mixing it round, as that way it just helps to incorporate everything a little bit more. And do remember, with a batch this size, you will need to mix it for quite some time. So now we've mixed it enough just so that we can pour off little bits of colour, because remember, this is going to be mostly white, and then we're going to add some black and some beautiful teal colour on the top. So I've just got a couple jugs here the side, and this is quite hard to actually pour because it's so big and heavy, but we're just going to fill this one up, and then the black one I'm going to only half fill because I don't want lots of black, just a little bit. Maybe that much is more than enough. Maybe it's too much, we'll take some back. And if you make a mess like I always do, just get some paper towel and wipe it up. So inside these ones, remember, we are going to be adding in our colour, but I won't do that yet. I'm just going to make sure that this is quite mixed. We're going to add the fragrance as well, and we'll keep just a little bit of fragrance for these ones. So inside here I do have my fragrance. Have a look at your fragrance. Some of them you can add up to 5%. I usually add 2 to 2.5% of the oil ratio of the recipe. So I'm going to pour most of it in, just keep a little bit just for these two ones here. And that's it. Now I think it's looking pretty good. Do remember, if you're making palm free, it will not thicken up like palm does. Ones with palm oil thicken up much faster, but this one's still okay. It does not discolor, so, which is really good. And this is not a standard fragrance. It has a couple different ones in. It has some beautiful bergamot, watercress. It also has bouts of mint, a tiny weeny bit of spearmint, and a couple little drops of, you know, some citrus type fruits as well. So it's a really beautiful, calming, lovely scent. I do this scent also in a body butter because it is quite popular, and you can always tell what's popular for me. If I put it in a body butter, it means it's popular. So yeah, anyway, and this one is definitely more popular in those kind of things. So like I said, we're going to keep mixing this one up and so on. And also one thing about this one is I have lots of men that really do like that minty, watercressy sort of you know, type scent. So it's not sweet, it's not harsh, it's not strong like sandalwood or anything, but it just really gives those beautiful bursts of peppermint as well, and a lot of men really do like peppermint. So I'll give it one more mix, and then we're going to pour it straight into you know, the slab mold. So now my slab mold is just to the back here, so I am going to just pour it into this. Let's just move some things around. We will bring this one forward a little bit, and let's just go. So I'm, like you can see, there is no color in this. I'm just going to pour it straight in. Look at that gorgeous color, just really natural and lovely. I mean, who wouldn't want that beautiful color? And sometimes it's nice to leave them a little bit plainer because not everybody likes a bright, bold colored soap. And if you're doing a soap that's like red, like a lot of mica, or black and a lot of mica, you do need to tell people that it's okay if the soap, you know, bleeds a little bit of black into the shower, because it's, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. It's still going to go down the drain, but you just need to tell people it's all right. There's nothing wrong with it, because people think there's something wrong otherwise. So now we've done that, haven't we? It looks all gorgeous. So now that I have this, we'll set this one aside, and now let's work on the colours. So remember, this one is going to be the green. So we're just going to add our mica into this one, and literally I'm just going to pour it over the top of this as well. So yeah, so look how beautiful this colour is going to look. So let's blend this up. So look how beautiful that colour is. It's so nice. We will add a little bit of the fragrance we had left for that one, and we'll leave a little bit for the black. So now it is pretty good. We can literally just pour it over the top, which I'm going to just do now. So we'll take this out. And like I said, I'm just going to go, you know, back and forward strips. That is literally all I'm going to do in this one. So, you know, and the higher you pour means the lower down on the mold it's going to go. So if you kind of just stay at the top, it's going to just stay at the top. So I'm going to save just that little bit there for the top. Maybe I'll save a little bit less than that. We don't kind of need all of that. And now let's go and we will work on the black. So inside here, once again, remember we did already pre-mix it. I just give it a little bit extra mix, pop it in. And if you don't put enough black into your mixture, it's just going to go like kind of a browny black. So if you want it super black, make sure you put the right amount in. And as I said, we'll just put the rest of that in, which is just the fragrance that I'd already measured up. And let's blend. Can you see how that is grey, not black? It's okay. I don't mind it being that colour. But that's what I'm saying about, you know, if you don't put enough, it's just not going to be as dark as you want. So let's, once again, we're just going to literally pour this in. And one thing I've noticed is black definitely thickens up a lot faster than other colours. So not all micas are the same. And like I said, once again, we are going to just, you know, just use this top to very lightly just give it a pattern so that we can give it a nice kind of top. Doesn't need to be anything too fancy. That will do in the black. And then, like I said, we'll just use whatever we've got in this particular green, and we will just add this onto the top. And then I usually just get a skewer and just do a beautiful coloured top on that. And that's pretty much all that's left. Maybe we will just add that little black because we don't want to waste it. Right, that's it. I'll put my containers down to be washed. Let's move this a little closer so you can see. And all I'm going to do is literally just back and forward, and that's what you do just to create those kind of pretty patterns over the top. And we're going to leave this one till tomorrow, and then we will cut it. I'll bring you back so you can see, because that would be really mean for me to end the video, wouldn't it be, if I didn't show you exactly what it looks like. I'll also put on some biodegradable glitter because that's what I do with this particular one as well. And then it's all gorgeous. So I hope you have enjoyed it so far. But like I said, I'll bring you back so that you can see the cut. And yeah, and you'll be able to see how beautiful it is. As I said, I do make this one usually, but I have almost sold out. So that's why I thought I need to get going to make some more before the other ones sell out. And this one will have time to cure. So just a little bit of sparkle on the top. We'll just give it a little bit of a spray with these gorgeous sparkles. And that's it. Here's a close-up of the rest of the soap now that it's going to sit here until tomorrow, and then I will bring you guys back. I'm so sorry, everybody. I forgot to actually do the cutting, but here they all are, all ready, and I have totally finished them, cleaned them all up. I have stamped them with my name on them, and now they're just going to sit here for a little bit longer. Obviously, they need to be here for roughly 4 weeks. And then once they are cured, I will wrap them up and pop them on my site. I hope you've loved this video. Make sure you give me a massive thumbs up. And if you want the recipe in writing, just go over to Patreon if you're a member and I will pop it in there. But otherwise, watch the video and I definitely have given you the recipe in here. Thanks so much. Bye.